Hi and welcome or welcome back. My name is Tita and I'm a knitter, knitwear designer and the owner of the Yarn Shop Yarn for All LLC on Etsy. And this is my currently bi-weekly knitting podcast where I share about a lot of different things, but primarily I talk about my own designs, which is not happening today. They are still a work in progress, in a sort of stage where I am not sure about them just yet. I also share sometimes thoughts about things in the knitting world, new yarns, and so on. And obviously, like every other knitting podcast, I also share my current works in progress and acquisitions. And today I will have four works in progress to share. No finished object, but almost. And I have some pattern acquisitions too, and some yarn acquisitions that I bought for these specific patterns. So I will start by sharing my works in progress, and then we move on to my pattern and yarn acquisitions. So this week, this 2 weeks, I knitted a little less than I really wanted. As you see, my hand is like wrapped. So I had a little bit of hand injury. Head would be really bad. Hand is a little bit better. So I had a little bit of hand injury, which is fine now. It's just wrapped because my wound is sort of still a little bit ugly and a little bit open. So that impacted how much I can knit. And I never really had an injury before with my wrist or whatnot, or anything. And I hear knitters talk about, oh, my wrist was injured and I couldn't knit that much. And I'm like, I don't understand. So sure enough, I injured my hand, and the injury impacts the movement of my index finger. And I'm a right-handed knitter, but I hold the yarn in my left, and I keep tension with my index finger. So I could still knit with my right hand, but when you cannot keep proper tension, your knits are absolutely uneven. And it's not that I couldn't keep proper tension, I couldn't keep any tension. So I was trying to knit by holding the yarn on any of the other finger, trying to keep tension. But these fingers seemed like not understanding really well how to do that. So I kind of combined the middle finger and the ring finger with the index finger to hold the yarn, but that was like, yeah, it wasn't easy to keep tension with any other finger. So now my index finger is a little bit better, still a little painful, but I can actually keep proper tension. So that's why I actually had done a little less work than I hoped for in terms of physical knitting. I was working on my own patterns and so on, but yeah, so I got the injury about a week ago. So for 1 week I had way less knitting, and for actually a few days no knitting, which was really weird because I knit every day a lot. So yeah, it was a little bit strange to be injured and not be able to enjoy my own hobby. So anyways, that's why some of the works have less progress than I hoped for, including the Camisole No.9 that I wanted to finish and wear today, but instead of that, I'm wearing one of my favorite Tibi tops, and this is the top actually that inspired me to do the Camisole No.9. As you can see, the neckline here and the armhole opening, it is like really similar to how My Favorite Things Knitwear solve the Camisole No.9 neckline and armhole. So this top really inspired me to knit Camisole No.9, so I thought I'm just gonna wear that. So sorry, I have a little bit of cold as well. So I will start to show you my works in progress, and then we move on to my pattern acquisitions, and then I will show you the yarns that I bought for that pattern and one extra yarn. So let's start with something that I showed you a couple of podcasts ago. And this is my giant blanket that I am a gift knitting, and I am using drops alpaca brush drops brushed alpaca in the colorway Sage and Pearl Gray. I love these colors two together, and I'm holding them both double. The design is a giant blanket. As I said, I'm gift knitting this, but the person is definitely not watching this. So I'm okay to share you. Sorry for the needles. The design that I just did, it's not really a design. I am doing a 50-inch wide, 60-inch long blanket, and I'm using two colors, and I kind of like asymmetry in a way. So I have 1/4 of the stitches with this pearl gray, and 3/4 of the stitches with sage green, and I have 300 stitches. 75 of them are pearl gray, and 225 of them are sage green. And I am, as I said, I'm holding the yarn double, and I use a very simple seed stitch design that I think comes out really beautiful. Actually, my pearl stitch is twisted in this, but you can't really tell. It's just the way that my stitches are aligned. I'm knitting combination knitting, and when you have combination knitting, it's very easy to actually make stitches that are twisted. It's just somehow easier for me to do the twisted pearl than the regular pearl when I do combination knitting. So this is just a very quick mindless knit that I am doing every single day for 60 days. So I hope it comes out nicely. This is the front, and this is the back. So the back has that little line where, I don't know how my camera can focus, but the back has this little line where I am switching the yarn. As I said, I'm doing this for 60 days, and the plan is to add 1 inch a day. And until like last podcast, I was actually on track. I think we had 19 inches last week. This is where the little yellow marker is. So I think on the first podcast when I showed this about 4 weeks ago, I had completed 4 inches. That's where we began, and then we had 14 days, and I was planning to add an additional 14 inches, so that could have been 18 inches, but somehow that week I added an extra inch, so I ended up with 19 inches actually 2 weeks ago. And this week I'm supposed to add 14 inches, but because of my injury, I was able to only add 8.5 inches. So right now I am 5.5 inches behind my schedule. So I am going to add that 5.5 inches in the next 2 weeks. So to have my 60-day timeline all set, and since I won 1 extra inch one day, that's gonna be actually the day when I finalize things, waving my ends, and if there's anything I need to do, I guess there would be nothing else to do, just waving ends. But I was thinking to waving my ends in between, but now that I have an extra day, maybe I'm just gonna spend the day with waving those stitches in. I'm gonna try to show you this, but it doesn't fit into like one shot. As I said, it's really 50 inches. I think maybe 51-ish or around that, but I think it's about 50. And I think it's beautiful. Why I like this yarn for this project is because of the way the stitches look in seed stitch, holding the yarn double. I think it's beautiful. It is actually really, really warm, so that's another problem. Although we have AC in the house, it still gets really hot when this blanket covers you and try to knit it. So yeah, knitting wool blanket in the summer isn't that easy. So I like that yarn, and also the yarn felt a little bit by sort of using it and especially washing it. So it kind of becomes like one piece in a very beautiful way. I actually have, I think last time I said accidentally 3 of these blankets in 3 different colorways, but I believe I got 4. One for my sister, no, this is the fourth one. Yes, so sorry, I have 4 total with this one. I have one for my sister in pink and pearl gray, and 2 for us, one in like a rust and beige colorway, and the other one is steel blue with black. I think I'm gonna, for next time, maybe post some pictures up and you can see the different colorways. And as I said, this is sage green and pearl gray, and I'm loving it. But as I said, right now I am 5.5 inches behind my little timeline. So I'm gonna move my stitch marker, and I hope that I will be adding that 14 inches plus 5.5, so 19.5 inches by 2 weeks from today. I'm usually filming these on Mondays and publishing on Tuesdays, so 19.5 inches. So I'm gonna make up that 5.5 inches in 14 days, which is like less than a half an inch, obviously, a day. But just so you know, I'm knitting this, I think, on a 2mm knitting needle, which is really skinny, because I don't want my stitches to be loose. Even though this is a blanket and I can get away with knitting it on a much larger needle, I kind of knit tight. So I really prefer this look, and literally 10 rows are an inch. But you know, one row has 300 stitches, so that actually is 3,000 stitches. And so yeah, that's some time. So even if it's a half an inch more, I mean, yes, that's basically 1,500 stitches. Yeah, so yeah, that's a lot of stitches more. But yeah, so yeah. Anyways, a lot of stitches, but I hope to make up 19.5 inches from 2 weeks from today, so then we are on track with this. But I really love the project so far. Huge and warm, and absolutely, I think, beautiful colorway. And as I said before in my previous ones, make sure that you order the right amount of yarn from this yarn, Drops Drops Alpaca, because they have huge difference in the colorways. Both my blue blanket, all three, my blue, my rust, and my pink blankets were all stripy because I ordered them from sort of different places, a different amount of yarn, because I wanted to have all of them at the same place. Or at the beginning, I actually didn't order enough for the first one for my sisters, and I think the darker colors show way more. So my pink, my sagewood, my steel blue, and my rust really shows the different colorways. So I think one issue with this yarn is that from dye-light to dye-light it can really differ. But yeah, I will take a picture of my rust one and I will show you how much they differ. So it's really important that you order enough amount of yarn. And originally I thought I'm gonna need 9 balls of this in pearl gray and 27 balls of the sage green, but somehow I'm knitting tighter a little bit, I guess. And after a couple of inches, I knew that I'm gonna need 10 of this, which I ordered just in case an extra, so that was okay. But I will need 30 of this instead of 27. So I wrote the company and made sure that I get the same dye-lot, but I was lucky enough they still had the dye-lot, so they sent me the proper amount of yarn. So I got a couple of extra of this just in case, and I think I got 4 of this instead of 3 just in case if something goes wrong. Yeah, I don't know if even if my cats get to a ball. I had 3 cats, so they play with yarn, and that always ends ugly. So anyway, I will have enough not to have a stripy blanket. And I ordered different dye-lot for my pillows for this blanket. Which one arrives, I will show you, and I think I'm gonna cast that on for next week, so you can kind of see how the pillow is gonna look like. But I'm planning on the same design, 1/4 one color and 3/4 one color. But since I like asymmetry, Both of the pillows gonna be the same size. The pillow the pillow is 17 inches, but when you're making pillowcases, you want your pillowcase to be smaller than your pillow, so it's gonna be like nice and tight. So I'm planning on a 16 by 16 inch design pillowcase for the 17-inch pillow, and one of them gonna be 1/4 gray, 3/4 sage. The other one gonna be 3/4 gray, 1/4 sage. So exactly the opposite. So that's about my blanket. And let's do next, which one? My camisole number 9 that I am knitting in knitting for Olive. Sorry for the sound. Okay. Yeah, I am knitting this. I don't know why is this not here. Knitting for Olive. I think it's soft blue. No. Yeah, I think actually it's soft blue, but just in case I'm gonna pop up the name, it looks very gray in here. And I am knitting size 2. From actually, yes, soft pure silk, size 2. Last week I was like somewhere just joining in around, and I decided that since most knitters complain it looks very ugly because it's not blocked, and I want to show you a couple of things because I have to undo this. So I ran into a couple of issues when I was knitting this, not with the pattern, just like thoughts about it. So yeah, last week I was somewhere here, and this week I was able to complete this and add the neckline and the arm bands, and it looks teeny tiny, but I tried it on and it fits perfectly fine, and it's actually unblocked. So it's a everyone knows this, so it's by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I think it's a super popular camisole, but just in case if you don't know, you knit this top down. Start with casting on for the sort of front and the back, and then you join them by adding some you make one front panel, then you make the second one, cast on stitches, join these 2 panels, do the same thing for the back, and you work a certain amount, and then you join in around, and then just knit straight down. And my first issue was that I did the cast on, but there was no instructions on how to attach the back and the front stripe, so I got this edge when I kind of sewed them together, and I got some comment on how to fix this. So in the next one I'm gonna have a provisional cast on, so I'm gonna have a much more invisible connection for my sisters and my cousin's camisole that I have to really start cranking out making it, because I have to gift it by like mid-August. So yep, I don't have that much time left, so I am gonna cast them on actually very soon. I'm gonna have my sister try this on to see if she wants this size or she's gonna go one size up, and then I go from there for my sister, and I know that for my cousin I have to go one size up. So yeah, so for their version I'm gonna change the way I cast this on, number 1. Number 2, I wasn't sure how, when you look at the photos, all the photos have this very beautiful finishing, and it might just be me, but at the beginning I didn't exactly know how that finishing is done because I didn't have the pattern. So, and I didn't read through my pattern completely, as I never really do, don't know why. So I will pop up some pictures of how my unfinished edges and everything look like. So what you do is you do your cast on, and then you pick up stitches, but you pick up from the back from the wrong side, and you knit stockinette from the wrong side, and then you kind of fold it back and sew it down in a special way. So I have some pictures here. How does it look like when you're knitting it from the wrong side up? So it's basically the wrong side and then stuck in it and folding it backwards. And then turns out that I realized that this beautiful edge that you see on the bottom is actually created by your cast off stitches. So when you do this, make sure that your cast off stitches are actually beautifully neat. You're supposed to size up a needle size, but I didn't, and I simply just had looser stitches at the end, but I can kind of sort of control that. So if you can't, then definitely do size up and have your edges really nice and tight, but even. Because that's gonna be the edge that is visible, and then you're gonna sew it down in a technique with a technique that is basically invisible, which is nice. So I think for my next ones I'm gonna size up doing the cast off edges, but for mine I didn't. When you do the pickup, you don't have to pick up for every row. That actually means that you have basically less number of stitches than rows. So when you sew this down, in order to sort of make it even, you cannot just go by like one stitch in here corresponds to one row and you just sew it down that way, because the pickup rate isn't that, it's not 1-to-1. So what I did, which I pop up photos obviously here, is that I got my safety pins and I safety pin this around, so I kind of know, I kind of divided this like equally, so it's nice and neat when I am sewing it down, and I just kind of followed that and it made it easy. So as I said, I had these very unneat edges, and I thought, oh my goodness, this very unneat cast on edge that you see here gonna be visible. So maybe I should restart, but then I realized that cast on edge or anything, how you finish this or how you start this is not actually visible, so you don't have to worry about that, because this neat edge is created by you folding your newly pick up and created stitches over your sort of cast on edges or you know, edge that you unfinished edges, so you can actually do it in a way that all your imperfections are not visible. So I actually did a really good job with my armholes, and I actually followed the pickup rate, but like sometimes it is very difficult. So I think I picked up on one armhole 1 less, and on the other one 2 more than it was required. But it's not actually visible, so I just go by a pickup rate and the way I feel it, and I see how much I am off with. So the 2 armholes basically have 3 stitches different. One is 3 stitches more than the other one, but it's not visible, so I'm okay with it. However, my neckline looks really untidy, especially right here. I mean, it looks absolutely awful. So first I thought I have to redo the whole sweater. Then I realized something, which was that I actually picked up 10 stitches less for my neckline than it's supposed to be. So when I sewed it down, probably that was the one that created all these like bunching and really ugly, unneat area. So one thing. Second, this is the one that I actually did first, and I think I bind up way too tight. So I have 10 stitches less picked up, very tight bind up row. So the whole thing, especially in here, looks very unneat. At the back looks pretty good. And the front parts, this is a little bit better. This is super ugly. So I just wanted to show you before I actually undo it that even I, who design things, can make such mistakes. And I thought, oh, picking up 10 less stitches is not a big deal, but combine that with binding off too tightly and then you get this ugly bunching. So I am redoing that by going completely back, undo my pickup stitches and redo that whole thing. And trying to pick up 10 more stitches or the proper amount of stitches. And actually if I pick up 1 or 2 more, that should be even better. And actually I think I'm gonna size up a needle size, or at least a half a needle size. So I have a neater and actually not neater, but less tight bind off, so I can have enough sort of stitches to do this neatly and pick up neatly. So I'm gonna go back right there and do that. After I'm done with that, I am probably gonna block this, have my sister try it on, and then see what size should I knit for her. And my cousin picked wheat in this knitting for olive pure silk, and my sister picked putty, and as I said, I think mine is soft blue. So we have all very neutral colors for this camisole number 9, and I really hope this is a finished object 2 weeks from today, but actually mine is no longer a priority. I think I got done with the hard part. I really wanted to experiment with how this part looks like, how you do the armholes, and so once I block this, have my sister try on, I might just sort of put this not on hold, but like on a slower knitting progress, and I'm gonna proceed with my sisters and then with my cousins to make sure that they are done by like mid-August, even though if I don't finish mine, the length of mine on time. What I'm definitely gonna finish on mine is this, the collar on the top, the redo. So you definitely can see that what I improved. I'm gonna take before and after photos, so I can show you the difference when I pick up 10 more stitches and bind off a little more loose. What difference does it make on the top with these neat things that I created. But yeah, so otherwise I am very happy with the pattern, other than the pattern didn't say how to connect your front and back straps. But other than that, I'm really happy with how it looks like. And I heard that many people complain that it's very tedious to do the armhole and the neckband, and that was actually the reason that I did it already. Part of the reason so I can try it on and see. Second of all, I didn't want to leave the like really hard and tedious parts for the last, but I actually didn't find it too tedious to pick up, and I think you knit that with a 2mm, so it's a smaller needle size, but I have no problem knitting with smaller needle sizes, so I actually kind of enjoy that work because I never done it before. It took time and you really had to focus on making things even, but I actually enjoyed the process, so for me it was perfectly fine and okay. So I'm very happy with where I am, aside from this untidiness, which I'm redoing. Yeah, and now I'm gonna show you my 2 other works in progresses that you already saw in my last video. So let's start. I'm gonna need my iPad for this, but let's start with my, I think let's see which one comes up first on my iPad. Sorry. Okay, then it was the Other Loops sweater. No, sorry, Twist Loop sweater by Other Loops. And it is a rib stitch raglan sweater with cables, and yeah, it is knitted top down. Yeah, knitted top down. I think that's all I needed. So this is what I have. Sorry, I actually put this on a very small circumference needle still, so I'm gonna pull it apart. But last week I only had this as a couple row cast on for the neckline, and now I knitted my neckband, folded back, and knitted it down, and I started to do the yoke sort of, and I started my increases, and you see all of these markers. So yeah, I will talk about this, but first let's see the yarn. I think you're supposed to use a different combination here. You could either have a wool, mohair, and cotton, or sorry, a merino wool, a mohair and cotton, or a Shetland wool mohair and cotton mix. But I decided to take something from my shop, so I had the Philadelphia Merino 3.5. It's 3.5 because of the size. I think they have a merino 6, which I don't have in my shop. This is the 3.5, and it's actually beautiful, and it's a little bit like stretchy. So instead of the mohair and cotton, I added 2 strands of mohair in the same colorway. This is the Phil mohair, and they are all the Poudre or whatever colorway. It's supposed to be pink, but I know on the camera and also in life it comes out very peachy pink or peachy. So right now if I see this alone, I say this is peach. When you put it next to orange and pink, you see it's in between. So I have no idea. It's peachy pink for me. And I originally cast this on with a different really pink combination, but the 2 pinks were different pinks, and I really hated that mottled effect that it created. Somehow right now I'm not into like very mottled things. So I, after like 2-3 rows, I showed this to you in my last episode, so you can go back and see. After 2-3 rows, I realized I hate it. And as I said in my last episode, if you already hate it, you're probably not gonna like it, so just don't do it. Because this is like a lot of time investment. It's knitted on a 4.5 millimeter, so now I'm gonna be like moving faster than when I was knitting the neckband. But yeah, so anyways, so I abandoned that pink project and switched to this peachy pink, and I'm super happy. Since the colorway the exact same, as you see, it just creates this fuzzy effect, but you can't really tell that I'm holding 3 strands of something together. It looks like one yarn that is a tiny bit fuzzy. And right now, as I'm increasing, you can kind of start seeing my cables that gonna come down, like these beautiful like stockinette rib motif, but like wide. And it actually starts, as I said, with the neckband. You fold it back, knit it down, and then you start your increases. And as you can see, this is obviously a top down sweater. So what I didn't really like think about is how many markers will I need to mark my cables and M1s and M2s and whatnot and the beginning of the round. So I realized that I don't have enough different kind of cables. So I'm using safety pins. And if a safety pin is single, that is like marker 1, marker 2. And if the cable, and if it's double, those are my cable markers. And my beginning of the round marker is missing because I just started, it's actually here, didn't fall off. So it's a circle with a tiny bit of a safety pin. But this made me think that how nice would it be if I had like these markers that says M1, M2, and so on. And then another marker that just says beginning of round, so whatever B, and cable marker 1, 2, 3, so maybe C1, 2, 3. And my heavy preference actually is, I have stitch markers in my shop, but I use them to like mark stitches like in the edge, like I marked it for my blanket, but I don't like it to mark it like right on my cables. What I love the most is these circles. And this actually isn't a cable marker. It's actually a jewelry that I'm incorporating into one of my new designs. And it's a beautiful silver circle, but I find that the easiest to have. So if you know cool like markers that will say, oh, M1, and it's like a circle with something hanging on it, please do let me know. Otherwise I'm gonna go on an internet search, try to figure this out. It could be plastic, but I like them skinny enough, so when I am knitting the next so the stitch, it just like it doesn't bother me, and thick enough so it goes even on my larger needle circumferences. So I want something that says M1, M2, and I want something for cables like C1, C2, and some cool one for the beginning of the round. because this is just, you know, I mean, it works, but like it would be just a little bit easier and visually more pleasing if I had C's and M's and B. But yeah, otherwise the pattern is pretty clearly written. Actually, not pretty clearly, the pattern is very clearly written. You had to do some short rows. I'm done with that, and as I said, I'm right now about to start my cable twists. I am right there. I just added my cable markers, and I think I'm about to like start twisting. And I try to put my head through here. I'm not going to demonstrate that, but it goes through. That's one thing that the designer actually mentions. If you sort of sew down your edge too tight, then obviously it's too tight, so you cannot put it through your head. Then you already have a problem. So you have to make sure that that works. The way you sort of knit this together, it would be hard to take it apart and redo it again, because yeah, you'll see in a pattern if you have it, but you actually really have to try this on right after you're done, so it goes through your head. And one of my fear with this one was that the neckline gonna be too wide. In some of the photos it's super wide, so I didn't want that. So I kind of like this neckline. It does not look like falls onto my shoulder like in some photos, and I'm not afraid that this gonna grow too much, because although the mohair is, although my merino is super stretchy, I don't know how much it can be visible, but yeah, you can see like it's jumping, which is fine. That means it will stretch, but my mohairs are super tight, so I think because the mohair gonna hold it together, I'm not expecting too much like growth out of this. Maybe because of its weight it's gonna fall a little, but I think it's not gonna be like pulling down to my shoulder too much, so I think I'm gonna be okay. As I said, that my biggest fear was that I have to cast on less stitches and then I add them in the first round, but I casted on the required amount of stitches for a size 2. Actually, you have to cast that on for size 1, 2, and 3, and maybe even more, so you have a lot of room to wiggle around. But yeah, I didn't know if I need like 20 stitches less, but I think I'm perfectly okay, and hope to make a lot of progress and get through hopefully the yoke by the next podcast episode. But as I said, I'm very happy with the pattern, not happy with my markers. So if you have any suggestions, when can I find such a cool markers, it would save me a lot of time and search on the internet. Just like link it below, and I'm just gonna click on the links. But yeah, I'm absolutely happy with the color choice and the way the yarn looks like. And these are the yarns that you can actually find in my shop. I think Fielder is the only yarn in the US that I sell. No one else sells this type of yarn, which is kind of cool. And as I said, they have traditional yarns like this merino and mohair in very interesting colors. If you go see, that's one of the reasons I got them. Second reason is amazing quality yarns that Fielder has. And I don't actually understand why no one else carries this in the United States. But yeah, it's imported from France. Love the colorway. And now we are moving on to my last cast on, or not cast on, work in progress, which is my pie shirt, pie camisole, pie camisole by the Creadia Studio. And last week it was just like a tiny little line, and I am knitting this in a size 2. This is supposed to have a lot of negative ease, and I am knitting my sort of front panel. Sorry about my needles. You knit the front panel, back panel, and then join it. And I saw this design on knitting podcast. Hip Knit Hurry was wearing it in a color black, and I just really love the way the neckline and the shoulders were designed here. You will see on the photo, and this is where I am at. I am just nearly done with most of my increases. And originally you have to knit this in an Easy Care by Mayflower. I have no idea what that is. So instead of that, I went to my shop and picked again my Philadelphia Merino 3.5 in the Amanda colorway. And if you have seen my previous videos, clearly I am in my green blue phase. You'll see my yarn acquisitions as well. So obviously I'm knitting this in this beautiful greenish blue colorway. And so far the design is very simple. You do the cast on and then you do your increases. And I don't know how much it comes through. On one side my increases are very nice. This is the nice side. I will maybe pop up a picture. I will see if this is not visible when I'm editing. You see, this is a very nice edge, beautiful. And here, I don't know how much you can see that when my pickup edge is like a little bit like bulging out, like that one stitch where I'm picking up, it's just not so neat. So if I do this, it stretches out. So I'm assuming that this will be solved with a little bit of blocking. But yeah, I just don't understand exactly what I'm doing wrong. It never happened to me before. And it might just not be wrong, it's really just gonna block out, but yeah. So I am with the front panel, and this is a very, very sort of easy and simple design. I am knitting this on the required needle, so that is a 2.5 millimeter, and I got gauge, so I'm super happy. I am really happy with the stitch definition of this, basically how the edge look like. This is just super neat, and I think I'm gonna come up right about here, the bend. So this is where we are at, and it will still have you see like a bend in here, so I think I am right on size, and I find this really, really pretty. Since I'm knitting the merino by itself, this may grow a little bit with blocking, but I'm not gonna stretch it too much. It's supposed to have negative ease. It still will have negative ease. And here I'm gonna add my armhole edge and my neckband or whatever. But yeah, so it was just like 1 or 2 lines, and this much progress I made in 2 weeks because my hand was injured. So much less than I hoped for, but I really love what I have. I find that really nice. And right now we're gonna move on to my acquisitions, and we're gonna try to start with the pattern acquisition because I really purchased the yarn for the pattern. I really started liking the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I don't have a silk in my shop yet. I'm planning on having it from the German company Camisoles wool for next year because I really enjoy knitting with pure silk, and they also have beautiful silk. So I bought 2 patterns, summer patterns for myself, and I bought yarn for it. So the first pattern is by Paulastrickt, and it is the Freestyle Shirt. And I like the stripy colorway. You can have this either in a solid color or a stripy color. I am doing the stripes. I really enjoyed Paulastrickt pattern for the mesh sweater. I found it straightforward and the design came out to be perfect. I really liked the fit and everything, so I decided to do another t-shirt, and I bought this on Etsy, very affordable, like $5 something, with an instant download, and it is a raglan style short sleeve t-shirt. I will decide how long I want my sleeves to be. I kind of like it when you fold it back, but I don't know if I fold it back, the pure silk wouldn't just fall off, like, you know, like roll down. So I am not so sure yet. The yarn the recommended yarn is actually I have in my shop. It's a Summer in Cashmere, and the other one is by BC Garn. The other one is Alba by BC Garn, and Morning Salutations by Camisoles. Morning Salutation I don't have, but Summer in Cashmere I have, and also Alba I have. I will actually make this if I like it from pure silk. I am planning on making the stripy version also from Summer in Cashmere. I just haven't decided which color combinations I love from my shop. I have that in multiple colors, and it's a really, really soft cotton. 90% cotton, 10% cashmere, so that's perfect. And it's organic, and Alba is 100% organic cotton. It's a little bit rougher feel and a little bit thicker, I would say, but not by much. So if you're interested in making these shirts in a recommended yarn, I actually have 2 in the shop. And I am actually making it also in Sumerian cashmere, but my first version gonna be pure silk. And this is what I ordered. Sorry for the sound that's coming. Not for that. Okay, that's one. Sorry, I'm like, I should have done this before. Here it is. Okay, got it. So, the main color will be haze, and the stripes will be dove blue. And I haven't decided if I want the color to be haze or dove blue. Here it is, on the original one, it is the main color, so it should be haze, but I might just like the blue one closer to my face than the haze. I will decide that later on, I think, because I think you don't start with that, but let me just think, because I might have to decide this quicker than I want. No, I don't have to decide, then that band is made later. So sorry for the sound, my cat just came into the room and started eating. This is actually our kitchen slash breakfast area, so my cat is having breakfast. That's the sound. Sorry, I did not lock my cats up. He may jump up to the table and say hello, I don't know, or behind me. So if you see a cat, yeah. So anyhow, that's the sound that I cannot edit out. Sorry about that. So yeah, back to my thing. I'm doing it in a haze and dove blue. I really like this combination. This dove blue is like grayish blue, and haze a little bit grayish brownish, but this is actually gray. And here is the difference between my soft blue and haze. So I'm doing soft blue for my Camisole No.9, right? And this is really difficult to see on the website because you don't see these colors side by side, but look. So this is soft blue, which comes off very gray, but I can assure you it's gray with the tiniest bit of blue. So get the haze to it. And now you will see that the soft blue is like really blue-gray and the haze is like brown-gray, if that makes sense to you. I couldn't really envision what's the difference gonna be. So this is with haze, and this would be with soft blue, and this would be a perfect match as well because they are both blue colorways, but somehow I just wanted a little bit more contrast. Sorry, let's do it this way. I wanted a little bit more contrast, sort of, or a little bit more interest, and I went with haze instead of the soft blue that I could have gone with. And I'm really happy with this. This would be also beautiful, but this is a very different look. This is like a cold and warm look, and this is a cold look. That makes sense to you. So I'm really happy with this combination, main color and stripes, and maybe the neckline, but I will see. That will be a cast on for my next episode, 100% sure. And my next acquisition was another pattern that I think many of you are thinking about buying, and I bought it myself. This is the mixed Rib Cami handmade by Florence. Many of us saw that on her podcast episode and heard her talk about it. Yarn suggestion was knitting for olive merino. I went with knitting for olive pure silk because I really enjoy working with pure silk, and I got pure silk in 2 colorways. One is obviously blue, I got the ice blue colorway, and I'm really tempted to do this in the ice blue colorway. And I also got the palm rose colorway. This is actually a lot darker than I actually thought it would be. I thought this palm rose gonna be closer to this, but this is more like a dusty pink. This is like a little bit brownish, reddish. So I have these two colorways, and one will be this mixed Rib Cami. So I said I'm really tempted to do this in blue, maybe because hers is blue, but or because I'm in my blue face. I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, and the other one gonna be, I believe, another Camisole No.9 for me because I really like it. So I don't know which yarn I'm gonna use for which. Yeah. So as you saw, handmade by Florence, mixed Rib Cami, and this is a top-down camisole with this interesting twisted rib. As I said, for me, when I talked about my blanket, twisting my stitches is very easy because I use combination knitting, so I will have no problems easily twisting my stitches. But yeah, I just like the way it looked. I kind of like the high neckline, like I like the high neckline on this one, and the photos look good on everyone. Yeah, so I'm really happy to start that for next episode as well. I am just really not sure about which color I am doing. As I said, I'm tempted to do blue because I'm in my blue-green phase, but I also love this palm rose. And one of them gonna be a Camisole No.9, the other one gonna be the mixed Rib Cami. So I'm pretty sure I go with this one, but I might just surprise myself. Yeah, I don't know just yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward starting that anyways. So that's all for my acquisitions today. My cat is really getting to the bottom of his bowl. Sorry about the sound. As I said, I won't be able to edit that out. Next time I'm not feeding my cat and I'm filming the video, or I'm gonna put the cat away. So anyhow, for next week, I mean 2 weeks from today, you should expect my blanket to grow not 14 inches, but 19.5 inches. Hope to fix my camisoles collar. I don't know if I finished mine yet, or how much other progress I'm gonna make on mine, because I'm definitely casting on my sisters. So the plan is to finish the color on mine, correct the color, block mine, and have my sister try it on, and we go from there. My cousin's is definitely a size up, but I think I'm casting on my sister's next with a provisional cast on, so the connection of my back and front sort of strap is neater. So I don't know how much progress mine gonna make, but definitely a new color and blocked, and another cast on for Camisole No.9. I'm gonna continue my pie camisole. Hopefully I'll be able to join the back and the front. My twisted loop sweater, I'm gonna make as much progress as I can, but that's kind of on the, I don't know, on the slower work in progress side, because it is gonna be for the fall. It's a super warm sweater with this mohair held double and a merino. So yeah, that's kind of like I just cast it on because I really liked the model, how it looked on the model. So, and I'm really happy with what I have so far. Beautiful color. So that's gonna get less progress than my camisoles, and you can definitely expect me to cast on the Freestyle Shirt and the mixed Rib Cami, both of them by my next episode 2 weeks from today. And I don't know if I'm gonna have a surprise cast on for my pillows for my blanket or not, but yeah, this is the plan. I have to have my sisters and my cousins Camisole No.9 done by mid-August, and right now we are, I think, July 15, so I got 4 weeks, 2 for each, which should be enough now that I experimented with it. But again, if I sustain another injury or whatnot, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, so I'm gonna just start as soon as I can on those after I fix the color of mine to make sure that everything is okay. And I really just picked up 2 little stitches on the Camisole No.9 color and bind off a little too tight. So that's what you could expect from me 2 weeks from today. Thank you for watching, and just leave me comments about the stitch markers. I don't want to spend too much time. I don't really like browsing around, not my thing. So it would be a lot easier if you just like send me links to, oh, this one is really cool, it's a circle and it says M or M12, or just like not even M12, and maybe for my cables a C12 or whatever, just like, you know. Thank you, and I will see you in 2 weeks.